Hello, welcome. This is my first video in about a year. WoW has kind of slowed down for me, making, kill videos for Resto Shaman point of views or whatever. Got over it a little bit. We haven't really had that much changes throughout the expansion, so whenever something new came out, Resto Shamans didn't really get touched, so didn't really have anything to make a video for. Wellspring changed, woohoo! So now we have actually something with the new BFA release coming out in August 14th, the new release date. I'm sure everyone saw this tweet when it came out. Just celebrates the fact that we have the release date, which is August 14th, which is 2 days after my birthday. So yay, celebrate me. Drunk on my birthday, and then no sleep for the next couple days, leveling up to the max level, which should be 120. It'll be fun. Can't wait for it. So with that being said, August 14th can't come sooner. We have plenty of changes for the Resto Shaman, so we're gonna go with that right now. So here I am on the alpha. I got the email saying, hey, come check out the alpha, which was awesome, by the way. I haven't really got a chance to play around with it though, however, but I have been taking notes. I've been kind of trying to learn different things, and yes, it says right here that I have unspent talents, but we'll get there when I get to talk about the talents. So the first thing, my first thought about BFA when I started looking at the patch notes is everything is getting smushed down. I call it the squash patch. We've seen it before where, we just got too powerful for, the expansion that the next one that came out had to kind of regulate things and smush everything down. So we have a few changes that's going to hit our toolkit when it comes to how things, operate. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is our favorite spell, Chain Heal. All right, so instead of 380% of the spell power, it's actually going to be 95% of our spell power. So it's going to heal the friendly target for 95% of the spell power. And then, of course, reduced by 30% each jump. And it's 3 times, unless you talent for it. The next one, Chain Lightning. The percentage of damage is 43%, down from 220%. Healing Rain is another one. It's a tricky. The equation is intense. It is now, instead of 50% of your spell power, it is now 12.5% of your spell power, times 6, times 2, divided by 2. Throw that into your Python programming console, and you can figure out basically how much healing you're going to do per person out of the 6 in your blanketed area. Healing Stream Totem, summon a totem at your feet for 15 seconds, healing injured players, blah blah blah. For 82%, that is changed. That's going to be squashed down to 20.5% of your spell power every 2 seconds. Healing Surge, it is going to be a quick heal, restoring 118.75% of your spell power, down from 475. You're getting the gist, right? Everything is getting squashed down, right? So Healing Tide Totem, 24% of the spell power instead of 96. Healing Wave is going to be 131.25% of the spell power instead of the 475%. Lava Burst as well. 53.125% of the spell power, down from the 275%. Lightning Bolt, 50.3125% instead of 175. All right, so we have a change to Mastery, Deep Healings. So the thing didn't really change. I think it just dropped off like a decimal percent or on there. So it's just 24.0% of your current target's hit points. Purifying Spirits, it's just on there. Didn't really see much of a change, but it did get squished. Riptide, healing them for 62.5% of the spell power, and an additional 62.5% of the spell power over 15 seconds. So that is down from 250%. So a lot of these changes, everything is getting squashed. So it's not like, you know, Shamans got super nerfed. Everybody got super nerfed to bring us down. And I think those numbers will possibly go back up. It's just, for now, you just can't start an expansion like super overpowered. So those are going to be the, you know, the squashed parts, things that have changed. The next thing that is different is going to be the talent tree. All right, so talent tree, can't really see it, so I'm going to pull it up right here. I have live talents versus the talents that are changed. All right, so for the live talents, we went with the basic cookie cutter spec. The spec that I ended up running, and this was the my final spec while clearing the last raid. So Torrent, Graceful Spirit, switch between that and Light Gust of Wind, Earth Grab Totem, Ancestral Guidance, Ancestral Vigor. I switched with that and, you know, Earth and Shield depending on how I felt. Cloudburst Totem and High Tide. Okay. All right, so you look at this and you can see that some of these talents have, or some of these tiers have stayed the same. So like the first tier has stayed the same completely. Undulation, Unleashed Life, and Torrents. Probably run with the Torrent still. That shouldn't really be much of an issue. Just go ahead and, you know, stick with them. The next tier down has some changes. Graceful Spirit and Windrush Totem are good, but then we have a different tier with the Nature's Guardian and the Graceful Spirit. All right, so the Nature's Guardian, when your health is brought below 35%, you instantly heal for 20% of your maximum health. Cannot occur more than once every 45 seconds. This seems to be, you know, like your panic mode. Something happens, you get that heal automatically, which in some situations might be really good. It just depends on the content that you're running, how geared you are, you know, those type of things. If you're running, you know, normals and heroic raids, you probably won't want that. You probably want something that makes you a little bit more versatile, right? But then, you know, if you are running mythics or you're running mythic pluses and, you know, you're still not quite geared yet, you know, that could be actually like a positive for you to, you know, like, oh crap, something happened to me. I should be dead, but that's, you know, gave me instantly healed back up. And 20% of your maximum health is pretty good because you're below 35%. You get shot up close to 50% of your health, and so then you can hit a heal and it'll be good. Next one down, we have two changes to this line: Static Charge and Spirit Wolf, and we have descriptions for those. All right, so now if you look at the 45 tier, you can tell that there's only one field that it's still there, or well, one talent that's still there, and then you have two new talents, and just it looks like a renamed talent, which it is. Imagine that. So Voodoo Totem was completely removed. Just didn't really see a use for it, I guess, and so they removed it. I never used it, so I can't really be mad that it's gone. Spirit Wolf and Static Charge is new. So Spirit Wolf, while transformed into a Ghost Wolf, you gain 5% movement speed and 5% damage reduction every 1 second to 4 times. This was part of your artifact, if you remember. Is one of those just survivability ones that you would put points into when you had the opportunity. Next one down is Static Charge. Reduces the cooldown of Capacitor Totem by 5% for each enemy it stuns up to the maximum duration of 20 seconds. This is also a tier 3 talent. The capacitor talent, or the capacitor, has changed. It replaces the lightning surge totem. So they basically just combined those, but just got rid of the capacitor part to it where it collects the spell from the enemy. But you know, it's you know, we had a capacitor totem with that same shape, so I guess it makes sense. We'll see. That'll probably end up like what I use, depending on the situation. I like the stun, but I also like the earth grab for, you know, different rates, whatever. So that's fine. Next tier down, Deluge and Crashing Waves are the same. Crashing Waves does have a change to it, but let's see. Instead of Riptide grants an additional stack, This says both effects of the tidal waves are increased by 10%. So if you don't remember what tidal waves does, hopefully you do. Casting Chain Healer Riptide reduces the cast time of your next healing wave by 20, or increases the critical effect chance of your next healing surge by 30%. So those are going to be increased by 10%. So, the cast time is going to be reduced for your healing wave by 30% and 20%. Or the critical chance for your healing surge is going to be 40% and 30% if you go with the crashing waves. And then my favorite talent in the game came back, which is exciting. I don't have to PvP to get it. We have ourselves Earth Shield once again. This protects the target with an Earth Shield, and it cuts a bunch of crap out of there, healing them for 22% of the spell power when they take damage. There's 0 charges to it. This heal can occur once every few seconds. Earth Shield can be placed on one target at a time, and it's sitting right here at the 60 level. So this will be exciting to actually get to play and test around with Earth Shield. It is a personal favorite of mine, so happy to have it back, and that'll probably be what I go with. Deluge wasn't that much fun in the raids after a while, and then Crashing Waves wasn't that good, except for you did it Mythic Pluses. So we'll have to see, with the Mythic Plus build, how it changed. But I think Earth Shield is going to absolutely just destroy. You can tell right here things have been removed, though. Right here where the Earth Shield sits, unfortunately, we are missing Ancestral Guidance. Poor Ancestral Guidance is gone. So it, kind of hurts the stock for Cloudburst, but we'll get to that when we get to the next tier, or next couple tiers. All right, 75, nothing changes. So really, it's the same spells. The Earth and Wall Totem did have a change. It does basically the same thing, but of course, the squash. The main change is there's no longer Earth and Shield Totem. It is the Earth and Wall Totem. Alright, so summons a totem with this much damage, and it summons a totem with this much health for 15 seconds, and absorbs X amount of damage from attacking allies within the range, if you will. So it's just the name changes, basically it. For the 90, nothing has changed either, and then for the 100, nothing has changed either. There's some spell changes, of course. Wellspring no longer does 450%, does 112%, and then the Cloudburst Totem, well, I said no changes here, they're the same spells, but there is a huge change with the Cloudburst Totem. So I'm just going to read this really quick, and you can decipher this. Alright, so for Cloudburst Totem, summons a totem at your feet for 15 seconds that collects power from all your healing spells. When the totem expires or dies, the stored power is released, healing all injured allies within 40 yards for 25% of all effective healing done while it's active, divided evenly among the targets. That sounds the same. Casting this spell a second time recalls the totem and releases the healing. Sounds the same. The cooldown change from 30 seconds cooldown to 30 seconds recharge. The charges also change from none to 1. So that's really the only change. So we're just going to have to play around with it. Obviously, it sounds relatively the same, but it did have a change. So things... I'm just going to go with, definitely stick with the Torrent. I'm comfortable with being lazy, using Riptide, of course. And, without being geared and leveling, I think Nature's Guardian is probably going to be the best, especially when you're just trying to level and doing low dungeons and you're not fully talented. I think that Graceful Spirit would be a good one to have for raids, but I think Nature's Guardian is going to be what you're going to go with until... you're geared enough not to be a total scrub. If you need more movement, then you can switch this. So the best part about raiding is you can change your talents as you need. But I think Nature's Guardian is going to be like your go-to. All right, for the next one down here, this is going to be tricky. It just depends on what you need situationally for a raid or a dungeon. I think that the Spirit Wolf is going to be passive and is great. and I think it's going to be like what your go-to is as well. I think that, you know, if you want to be utilized, having Earth Grab Totem or the Static Charge is going to be nice. But for survivability, you know, when you're trying to level, I think, you know, all in all, Spirit Wolf is going to be what you need to do. Obviously, going to go with Earth and Shield. There's no way you're going to convince me not to do that, you know, with it coming back. So obviously, I'm going to go with that. Yes, please. All right, coming down here. Or it depends on the situation again, of course. Ancestral Vigor is a good chance that that's what, you know, most people are going to be running, and I'm going to run Ancestral Vigor. Just less cooldowns when you're getting going. You may want to switch to it if you need that extra protection for them. But, you know, for now, it's just, I think Vigor is what you're going to do. Now this next is going to be tricky. You don't have an AG anymore, so your Cloudburst is going to lose value, but it's still going to be pretty good in situations. But it still doesn't give Echo of Elements a plus. You know, if you need more mobility, Echo Elements is going to be fine. Doing this in dungeons and Mythic pluses, Echo Elements is fine. Raiding situations, I still honestly think that Cloudburst Totem is going to be the way to go. Unless you need mana, you're having, you know, struggle with mana, then, you know, the bottomless step is probably going to be good to go. But I think Cloudburst is perfect. Now, the 100 is going to be fun. It just depends on your playstyle if you want to choose High Tide or Ascendance. Me personally, with the squashing of the stats, I think that we're going to go back to like Cataclysm Triage Healing. If you don't know what Triage Healing is, basically you just spot heal who needs heals instead of just spamming chain heal. And, you know, kind of holding on to your mana for the right time, those type of things. And, you know, you benefit more from your mastery this way. If that's the case, then I think Ascendance is going to be just a little bit better than High Tide. High Tide obviously gives you an additional target when it bounces. But with the Triage Healing, I think that having the extra cooldown with Ascendance is going to be, like, king. I know that in dungeons and stuff is probably the best to go. In Raid, it just depends, I guess, on your makeup. But I honestly think, and this is just early testing and early looking at the squashes. And the last time we had, like, this super huge squash, Triage Healing was the king. Ascendance is probably going to be the way to go. I can see it happening either way. You know, when the raid actually happens, I'm most likely going to go High Tide. But for now, leveling and dungeons and gearing out and all that stuff, Ascendance is going to be my choice. So there we go. I have Earth Shield. Last 10 minutes, 9 charges. So that's good. That's good. That's good. Now that those talents are out of the way, there is a new thing that is coming to the World of Warcraft, and this is going to be the replacement of the current artifact weapon system. These are called Azerite Traits. So in the game, you'll get this item called the Heart of Azeroth. So the Heart of Azeroth is an artifact quality medallion that is a gift from Azeroth through the Diamond Speaker, Magini Bronzebeard. Remember him? Here are a few basic details about this. You can carry the Heart of Azeroth through the entire expansion. It is the new artifact weapon. The Heart of Azeroth is empowered by Azerite and will automatically absorb any nearby Azerite. There's no need for backspace loss or time clicking. It just automatically goes in, which is awesome, by the way. Once the Heart of Azeroth absorbs enough Azerite, it can level up. Upon reaching certain levels, it will awaken to some latent properties and another piece of gear. So I was reading up on this, and basically your helmet, your chest, your shoulders are going to be these Azerite items, and then you can have certain traits that you can apply to there. I found this on Wowhead. Which is basically they don't have like a finalized UI for this. But it's you know, you have your tiers. It's like a circle. You can say, okay, so in this tier I can choose these, in this tier I can choose these, in this tier I can choose these. Yes, and of course this is shamans. I think looks like a little elemental or enhancement shaman tier. I don't know. It's just whatever picture is taken. With that being said, we do have some talents that we can use, or these traits. So I'm just going to quickly kind of run through these. I'm not gonna, you can read. I'm not gonna like jump through all these things, but you can find them on Wowhead. So Ancestral Reach, so increases the healing by Chain Heal, and it causes an additional target. So High Tide, it looks like a High Tide, and so 5 bounces, you get this trait. High Tide might just jump up in popularity. Astral Shift, so you can increase the damage reduction for Astral Shift with that, which is pretty good if you need more survivability. Electro Opponents, Embrace of the Tides. I think the Healing Surge one would be really nice to have. Flames of the Forefather, if that looks like additional Maelstrom, so it's an elemental one. The Healing Way, Healing Surge critically heals for up to additional 5%, and there's more healing done for it. Lightning Burn, it looks like Elemental Overload, Elemental Primer, it looks like enhancement. Storm's Eye, it looks like enhancement. Striker's Grace enhancement. Volcanic Lightning is elemental. And then Soothing Waters, if you remember, we have something similar like that in the artifact. Your Chain Heal heals its primary target for an additional 23 healing. So if you match up Soothing Waters and Ancestral Reach, then of course High Tide is going to be the talent choice of your liking, generally. So those are going to be your extra traits that you would want in your Azerite medallion, or your weapon, your armor. So that's going to be pretty exciting for that. And then we have some changes in general for shamans, and more importantly, we do get the Tremor Totem back, so that's exciting. Can't wait for that, using Tremor Totem again. Capacitor Totem, summons a totem at the target location, gathering electrical energy from the surrounding air, and then explodes for 2 seconds to stun all enemies within 8 yards for 3 seconds. The name change, the Lightning Surge Totem to Capacitor. The cooldown change from 45 seconds to 1 minute cooldown. Alright, so there's a bit change to Hex, there's a change to Purge, those are all good. And so then, so those are basically the changes for the Shaman. Pretty excited about it. I'm going to be messing around with this female that I made. Every one of my public test realms or alpha testing have been female, which makes me want to play a female in the game as well. And I had a female orc, but here we are with this. So basically I'm going to try to figure out some add-ons so we can see how much healing is done. I can heal this dude, but you can't really see how much oh, there we go, we got some floating text. Maybe I just didn't like it when I was doing self. So 1,000, 3,000 for those heals. Let's see what Chain Heal does. It's not going to bounce, but it's like 1,000. So yeah, it's really just going to be, if I could find a group of people, I'll probably run a couple dungeons just to get some, heal testing down. I'll just have to set up macros and keybinds in here so I can at least get something going. But I'm looking forward to these changes. I'm looking forward to potentially putting out some sample videos of Resto healing. But those are the changes. It's pretty exciting to see changes for the Resto Shaman, especially having basically the entire expansion of not having a single change. So just looking forward to that. Looking forward to figuring out more changes. This is current as of yesterday, which is the 9th of April. We have 4 months before the release, and they're basically doing changes every few weeks. But as of right now, I think those changes that are coming up are going to be just little tweaks. They're not going to be like a whole revamp of something that we just covered. So probably won't have to remake this video in a couple weeks, but if something major happens, then I can just make like an appended video. So I guess until next time, hopefully I can get probably some healing, some leveling done. I would like to get possibly this character leveled up, so I can get the leveling paths and everything done, so I can be comfortable when it is released. And then it'll be fun. It'll be just a rush to 120. and then back with the guild. I'll be live streaming it. It'll be in early morning. There's probably gonna be hundreds of people doing it, but I'm gonna be live. So if you want to be a fan, just go ahead and click the link in the description below for my stream. I'm on Mixer. I just small streamer. So if you have a Mixer account, if you just want to make one, go ahead and just follow me, and then we can talk about these WoW changes as they're happening. I will continue to upload on here, and then I guess we'll just figure things out. So I definitely appreciate you hanging out at the very end. Most of you probably just said, oh yeah, I've gotten to the part where I need to be. I probably bounced out, but if you're right there, that is awesome. I know for a fact that these may change, and so I'll let you know about that as things progress. So thank you very much for checking it out. So until next time, I got nothing. So adios.